Welcome to Food News Today. When you purchase a product that's labeled fair trade, what would you expect the percentage of fair trade ingredients to be? 100%, 75%, 50%? Well, according to Fair Trade USA, 20% is just fine. Fair Trade USA is receiving criticism for changes to their fair trade labeling policy, allowing chocolate to carry the seal with a threshold of just 20%, and when it contains a high percentage of other ingredients like sugar that are not fair traded. The not-for-profit organization Fair World Project released a statement criticizing the move. Fair Trade USA is electing to maintain its subpar threshold of just 20% fair trade contents to use a front panel label on a product with no requirement to list the percentage of fair trade ingredients. It's been noted that other fair trade certifiers, such as IMO's Fair for Life, had a minimum 50% threshold or a requirement that companies list the percentage of fair trade ingredients. Fair World Project further criticizes Fair Trade USA by saying that these rule changes came soon after Hershey announced that it would use Fair Trade USA as a future certifier. So, a milk chocolate bar that contains more of both sugar and milk than chocolate, with chocolate as little as a third of the total dry weight, could still have a fair trade label on the front of the bar. Jeff Beckman, head of corporate communications for Hershey, told Food Navigator that they'll continue to engage with their stakeholders on important sustainability issues to give consumers confidence that Hershey products are responsibly sourced and of the highest quality. But Fair World Project says that unless Fair Trade USA increased its threshold to 50% and required firms to label the percentage of non-certified ingredients, it would be misleading consumers and greenwashing the fair trade market. What do you think? What do you want to see from a product that's labeled fair trade? Let me know your thoughts. How much does your gender influence your diet? Well, our food choices and eating habits tend to stem from a number of factors, such as upbringing, cultural and social norms, and genetics. But what about gender? Well, Sharon Natoli, the director of Food Nutrition Australia, says that when you look at taste buds, men have a lower sensitivity to bitterness, which is why they're more likely to enjoy beer and savory foods than do women. Conversely, women have a greater sensitivity to bitter tastes, so they prefer sweet treats. While there hasn't been much research into how great the influence of gender is on our diet, we did a little of our own research on Facebook, and here's what you had to say. Dawn says, not in our house. Courtney says that she's not a fan of bitter, but loves both sweet and sour. And our friends at Eat Feel Fresh, does bitter count as sour, pungent, acidic? Because I love lemons, vinegar, and grapefruit. As you know, we love to fill you in on the latest food trends here at FNT. And here's one that we think you'll find, well, interesting. Chefs around the country are finding imaginative ways to serve pigtails. Yep, pigtails. It wasn't so long ago that pork belly was the hot new trend, and now we're moving on to the last cut of the pig. Their tails. Sound good to you? Well, here's a few places, if it does, that you can try it. In LA, Animal serves them buffalo wing style, complete with a blue cheese sauce. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, Craigie chef Tony Moss serves his pigtails with pickled peanuts and a fish sauce. Ugh. In New York City, Peruvian restaurant Remy hosts a weekly pig and tails night, featuring pisco cocktails and heartbreakingly tender tails in a lime and soy marinade. And finally, if you're in Philadelphia, there's a gastropub called A La Spina, and they'll serve you brined and fried pigtails with a fennel agrodolce and topped with an elegant dusting of fennel fronds. Enjoy, or maybe not. Now here's a tip for grocery stores on how to truly turn lemons into lemonade. When your store gets hit with an attempted burglary, how do you pay for the damage and get great publicity? Turn the surveillance video of the bungled burglary attempt into a commercial. Now that's exactly what Kent's Meats and Groceries in Redding, California did after a ridiculous robbery attempt failed. The result? A hilarious ad that will certainly promote the store and cover the $500 in damages.
Meats and Groceries award-winning New York-style pastrami. So good, some people will do just about anything to get more.
That's all for this week's edition of Food News Today. Don't forget to check out supermarketguru.com and send me a message on Facebook or Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.